The first time I saw any part of this episode came from looking through random YouTube clips and coming upon the infamous "This is Whining" scene from Rarity. I have to say that one clip did quite a bit in helping me to see just how much more there was to MLP. And even the episode itself breaks through a lot of what you might expect from a character like Rarity. As the episode begins, we see Rarity getting a surprise visit from Sapphire Shores, which immediately gets Rarity into fangirl mode. Sapphire is looking for something that she can wear while on tour throughout Equestria, and Rarity shows her an ensemble of white fabric that is covered with an overwhelming amount of gems. My goodness. Considering that we've seen just how much gems are worth during Just for Sidekicks, like how one tiny gem had been traded for an industrial strength dryer for a dog, just how many bits would something like this cost? Sapphire loves what she sees and requests 5 more just like it. And even though Rarity is a bit overwhelmed by the request, we see her hard at work finding more gems in the next scene. Spike is talking about how wonderful it is that Rarity is getting this kind of attention, to which Rarity says, "Ladies do not flip out, Spike." Now, I realize that Rarity is trying to maintain an image in front of others, but the way she reacted during the first moment she saw Sapphire Shores gracing her shop certainly seemed like she had been flipping out to me. This is actually the first moment in the series where we see Rarity using her magic to search for gems. And come to think of it, outside of this episode there is only one other point in the entire series where we see Rarity using her magic to look for gems, and that was during the flashback scene in the Cutie Mark Chronicles. Are we ever going to see Rarity using this natural gift of hers in future seasons? Spike is thrilled to be helping Rarity with digging up the gems when given the promise that he'll be allowed to eat some of them. But of course, when Rarity personally selects a gem to give to Spike, he no longer wants to eat it. I'm actually glad that we are given little hints here and there throughout Season 1 about Spike developing a crush on Rarity. It makes for a much better payoff in Season 2 when Rarity finally understands Spike's feelings. When we are introduced to the Diamond Dogs, I am immediately reminded of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. I'm sure that was their intent when the voice actors were playing these parts, and it really works well for them. And even the name Diamond Dogs is another fun little reference that kids wouldn't understand. When the Diamond Dogs seek to capture Rarity, it is admirable to see Spike doing his utmost to slow them down, even though he is easily outmatched. And even though Spike yelling "no" is completely cliché and overdone in so many other shows, it still makes me smile every time I see it here. Spike brings the rest of the main 6 to the field where they had been digging, and are surprised to see several dozen other holes have popped up. They try their best at jumping down one of the holes, but the dogs have them all filled up quite quickly. And when the main 6 start imagining what Rarity is going through, it also seems rather cliché, but still pretty close to what we would expect from her character at this point in the series. While the main 6 are trying to dig up new holes, we get a rather funny bit from Applejack playing whack-a-mole complete with some pinball sounds in the background. And then they come up with another cliché moment when they imagine Rarity being at the mercy of the Diamond Dogs, and I gotta say that this episode does quite well to set up what we might expect to happen down there. Spike gets an idea about how to get down the hole and pulls a gem out of his pocket. Okay. We also get another hilariously over-the-top cliché moment when Spike is imagining his rescue of Rarity, and the animators really put in a fantastic daydream here. Seriously, how many of us have had this same kind of daydream when we were kids? I have to wonder if Spike really will get a moment like this in real life somewhere down the road. When Spike gets a bite, we see each of the main 6 trying in vain to pull the others back up. That is, except for Pinkie Pie, who just wants to go along for the ride. It's really funny whenever we see Pinkie finding moments to have her fun even when everyone else is trying to be serious. But when they reach the bottom and still can't find Rarity, we get yet another melodramatic no moment from Spike. The main 6 seem to be at a loss as to how to find Rarity from here, until Spike tells Twilight to just copy Rarity's gem-finding spell. Now, this seems rather interesting to me, as Twilight is able to imitate Rarity's natural talent for finding gems on the first attempt. I know that Twilight's natural talent is magic, but it still surprises me just how quickly Twilight can manage new spells at the very first opportunity. When we finally come back to Rarity, we see that she is very subtly taking control of the situation. It's funny to watch her feeble attempts at digging because we can easily see that she is capable of far more, but still manages to convince the Diamond Dogs of her ineptness. Tabitha St. Germain pulls off some fantastic bits of voice work here, keeping so prim and proper despite complaining about every little thing that she sees. And when it comes to whining, it just goes beyond hilarious. I've lost count of how many times I've watched this scene, and I still find it funny every time I see it. We see a moment when Rarity gets the upper hand, but it doesn't last long. The Diamond Dogs are determined to be in control again. That is, until we get some fantastic bits of crying from Rarity. Really, this performance is so over the top, but it's hard to tell whether Rarity is actually acting here. It just seems to come so easily for her. We get some more scenes with the rest of the main six going through the tunnels along with them staving off an ambush. And I really like the moment when Spike is talking to Twilight like she is a steed, and hearing her say, "And just what do you think you're doing?" When they break through the door, they are all shocked to see just how much Rarity has taken control of the situation. And of course Rarity manages to get herself out along with several cartloads of gems to go with her. Which actually makes me feel a little sorry for what the Diamond Dogs had to go through. The episode comes to an end with Twilight learning a lesson from Rarity, talking about how when someone keeps their wits about them, even in a frightening situation, they can manage to overcome great difficulties. And I really like how they had presented that lesson here. Most people watching this episode for the first time are taken by surprise when Rarity manages to gain the upper hand, myself included. And this episode makes for a prime example of how MLP manages to break through stereotypes while still being entertaining. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed watching this episode again, as it still manages to impress. There are a lot of over-the-top moments here, but they are executed very well. We get to see a lot more depth to Rarity's character that also earns our respect. The comedic bits are still fantastic and keep getting funnier with time. I do find myself a little curious about the Diamond Dogs, though. They may be presented as bumbling simpletons for the majority of the episode, but I still have to wonder about where they came from. Why are they so obsessed with seeking gems? Well, I get the sense that perhaps their need for gems is also a need for food. We know that dragons already use gems as a source of food, and that acquiring treasures can lead to some bad results. What if Diamond Dogs are the same way? That they have an intense desire to collect treasures and a need to hoard them, and perhaps even eat them. Wouldn't surprise me if this turned out to be the case. What do you think? Does a dog and pony show still hold up for you? What parts of the episode stand out the most? Do you have any ideas about why the Diamond Dogs are so obsessed with finding gems? I would like to hear your thoughts about this episode, and here's to looking forward to the next over-the-top performance from Rarity. I am DRWolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.